Mum, thanks for that delicious meal. I can boast that I cooked it with you. I'm a good cook now.
Yes. You are.
Can we continue our discussion on why bad things happen to good people? My friends were inspired when I shared our last discussion with them, that being good is not enough. They saw the need to be saved and sow the right seeds, through faith confession of God's word, because an enemy will sow evil seeds if they do nothing.
Yes. Today we will use the story of Job for our study. Job chapter 1 verse 1 says, "There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job. And that man was blameless and upright, and one who feared God and shunned evil." So Job was definitely a good and righteous man, but he faced terrible calamities.
Yes, Mum. Job's case seems to many to be the worst case scenario. He lost all his children in a single day, then all his wealth was suddenly lost too. After that, his health went down. It was so bad the wife encouraged him to curse God and die. It seemed she wanted out of the whole thing and needed him dead so she could remarry.
You are right, my daughter, but many conclude that God gave Satan the permission to afflict Job because of the presentation of that story, without seeing Job's role in it.
Yes, Mum. I hope to get more details from you on that.
Job chapter 1 verses 13 to 19 details the first set of disasters that befell him, but let us see what Job also had to do with it.
I really will love to know, because that level of disaster seems almost unbearable, and no one deserves such experience.
In Job chapter 38 verses 1 to 2, it says, "Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind, and said, Who is this who darkens counsel by words without knowledge?" This means that Job spoke words without knowledge, that darkened God's plan and made it obscure and confusing. So, if you listened to Job alone, you would miss God. This was God's word to Job.
Wow, so Job spoke some wrong words that were inconsistent with God's truth.
Yes. Note that Proverbs chapter 15 verse 4 says, "A wholesome tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it is a breach in the spirit." To make a breach is to create a gap in a wall of defense. So, Job created a gap in the wall of God's defense around him by his perverse speech. Speech that deviated from God's plan and truth.
Wow, I see the things that made Job's calamity worse. He spoke words that opened him up to the devil.
That is the point. Because he could have been tested from external or other things. Ecclesiastes 10 verse 8 says, "He who digs a pit will fall into it, and whoever breaks through a wall will be bitten by a serpent." Satan, the serpent, attacks the one who has broken the hedge or wall of protection God put around them.
I remember, in Job chapter 1 verse 10, even Satan affirmed God's hedge of protection around Job as he said, "Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land." It means Satan had tried to get to Job, but could not, and he noted that Job was surrounded by God's hedge of protection. Maybe, until the hedge was broken by Job.
There is a point to that. In Job chapter 3 verse 25 to 26, Job said, "For the thing I greatly feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me. I am not in safety, nor am I quiet. I have no rest, for trouble comes."
So Job was afraid. He walked fear.
Yes, he said so himself, "What I feared had come upon me." Fear is a weapon of the devil as faith is God's weapon. Job used the weapon of the devil against himself, without knowing it.
Oh, what a pity. No wonder when angels visit, they often say, "Fear not."
Now you can see it. 1 John chapter 4 verse 18 says, "There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves torment. But he who fears has not been made perfect in love." So fear has torment. It has to do with punishment. Job walked in fear, and he said, "I was not in safety," even when Satan knew that God's protection was around him. He also said, "I was not quiet." So Job did not only walk in fear, he confessed that he was not in safety, and also confessed his fear.
In Job chapter 1 verse 5, it says, "So it was, when the days of feasting had run their course, that Job would send and sanctify them, and he would rise early in the morning and offer burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." Thus Job did regularly. So Job made all those sacrifices in fear of punishment and not in faith towards God.
Yes. Those things complicated the trial of his faith. The faith of many believers are often tried, but this that got to destroying all that he had, went so far because he opened up his defense, by perverseness in his words.
Yes, Jesus had his faith tested too, and the apostles, but Job's case was not through an external person or event. It brought destruction of things in his life, that were supposed to be in God's protection.
So, when God said to Satan, in Job chapter 1 verse 12, "And the Lord said to Satan, Behold, all that he has is in your power, only do not lay a hand on his person." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Job had a part in opening his defenses and giving the devil access to all he had, while being tested. That test could have been different.
I have learned today that I can determine how far the devil can go, by keeping God's defense around me intact, through my faith confession.
Good. But the story still ends well, all that notwithstanding. In Job chapter 42 verse 10, it says, "And the Lord restored Job's losses when he prayed for his friends." Indeed, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Job's error notwithstanding, God brought his word to him and God restored everything at the end. In fact, he got twice all he ever had, and in Job chapter 42 verse 16, it says, "After this Job lived 140 years, and saw his children and grandchildren for 4 generations." So God gave Job 140 years more to enjoy his new life.
That is such a relief. Thank you, Mom. I can determine how far the devil can go, even if I am to be tested.
Surely. So, bad things can happen to good people as a trial of their faith. 1 Peter chapter 1 verse 7 says, "That the genuineness of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ." In such cases, it should end in praise, honor and glory, and yet they can determine how far it goes.
Thank you so much, Mom. I have increased in knowledge today.
You are welcome. As always,